Welcome to the PLL Cash App Playoffs on ESPN. And welcome back to Boston, where our second quarterfinal pits the Denver Outlaws against the Maryland Whipsnakes in a 4-5 showdown. Winner of this one gets the 1 seed, the New York Atlas. We cannot wait to watch this one with you alongside the Hall of Famer Ryan Boyle. I'm Drew Carter up here in the booth. We'll check in with Dana Boyle on the field in just a second. RB, this is a fascinating clash, not just of styles, but of franchise histories here.
Yeah, you look at the Whipsnakes, we're the most consistent program, I think, over the PLL history. And head coach Jim Stagnita has done a masterful job, I think, in terms of kind of pick here, trade here, kind of building this roster, which looks wildly different. You know, so he's really done a good job throughout the season. Meanwhile, they reloaded. Denver, they rebuilt. They started from scratch. So it was a complete youth movement, ton of rookies all over the place.
Winner of this one gets the 1 seed, the New York Atlas, Saturday on Long Island. We've already seen the chaos throttle the Cannons 8-4 to start the day. And by the way, we're expecting to have Andy Towers join us up here in the booth in the third quarter.
Oh boy.
So stick around for that.
So you look at the long layoff by the Whipsnakes, and I think that is going to take them a little bit of time to reacclimate. And the key for them is, can Nardella win a lot of early face-offs to really negate any of that rust?
Yeah, they've gone weeks without playing a game. Here's Chanenchuk for 2. Mike Chanenchuk, who's just outside the top 5 all-time in 2-point professional goals with 32 for his career. He dumps it down, they take the shot clock violation. Is that rest versus rust thing, RB? Which side of that equation do you fall on?
If for the Whipsnakes, it's real. It's rust. I mean, they haven't played. Their bye was the last week of the regular season, so they haven't played since week 10 out in Denver. That's just a long time. You can't really replicate live game action.
Especially when you've won 4 in a row, right? You want to keep playing.
Oh, you're like, let's play tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I think the key for them is they got a lot of rookies, but it's a veteran-laden team as well. Really, the core of their team is intact. They've kind of filled in around the margins. I mean, Anderson, we haven't talked about him yet. This rookie, he's had a fantastic season as well.
The foundation of this Whipsnakes house still very strong. Chanenchuk takes the lefty shot, saved by Owen McElroy, third-year pro out of Georgetown. Former 4th-round pick who has been starting all season for Denver. Sean Scanoni, who is the starting goalkeeper for the Chrome last year, still on the active roster. But it's McElroy's job now. That's over and back. Good defense from Maryland. Really the one guy, if you're a Whipsnakes fan, you're screaming, we don't have him. That'd be Michael Earhart, who retired after last season. 5-time LSM of the year, so 5 for 5 in the PLL's existence. He was voted the best long stick midi. But Colin Squires has done a fantastic job sliding up on the depth chart. And it's a Whipsnakes team that looks different statistically. It's not as defense first as it has been in the past, but it's still successful. That shot into the side of the cage, still scoreless here 2.5 minutes in.
And then early on, the one guy they were really missing was Tucker Dordovic, the reigning rookie of the year. That he came back and added some more juice, and then that horrific, devastating injury. And then to account for that, Stagnita goes out and trades for Conrad.
Gave up a 2nd-round pick in next year's draft. Here's Bundy for 2, and Brendan Krebs saw it all the way. So that's the other part that's a little different. Kyle Bernlohr still on the active roster, but it's been Krebs' job all season. One of 4 goalies in the PLL to start all 10 in the regular season.
You know, when I look at this Denver team in this game, it's like, I hope that they don't have the, like, we're just happy to be here. Like, we made the playoffs. Like, we were 1-9 last year. Like, we made the playoffs. Like, no. Like, you got to stay dialed in. And that's where you lean on veterans like Manley, Anderson.
Here's Levi Anderson, another rookie for the Whips. His pass to Zed Williams off the mark. And Denver with the takeaway. Manley slipped and fell on a ball on the sideline. Might have rolled his ankle. He's behind the play. We'll keep an eye on that as O'Neill has it on the other side. Now the Whips take it away. Manley's back in the play. Anderson feeds Williams, who rolls past Manley, shoots. McElroy slams the door. 2 saves already for Owen McElroy.
That was a filthy roll dodge there by Williams. Strong start for McElroy. Outlaws, like this is their first clean possession of this game.
Think about the youth of the Outlaws. They really tore it down to the studs after they went 1-9 last year as the Chrome, and they're off to a good start here in the playoffs. It's one of those rookies. It's Dalton Young. His first playoff goal is the first goal of the game.
All Young did was put up 12 points. It just seems like he's kind of the overlooked rookie of the bunch. And everybody obviously talks about O'Neal and Bundy, and then Zawada gets a ton of touches. Young really, I think, coming out of the midfield after playing his career at Richmond, he's been a fantastic playmaker coming out of the box. His ability to win his one-on-one matchup on a consistent basis and then make good decisions thereafter.
He was the A10 Offensive Player of the Year a couple of times at Richmond. Playing for Coach Shamati, he's got the first goal today. Going back to what you said, RB, about are they just happy to be here? I think the thing is, this team looks so different, right down to the logo and the location and the name. A lot of these guys weren't even here last season.
And sometimes that can make you dangerous just because you don't know any better. Like you don't overthink things.
No pressure on this franchise. Kind of playing with house money this year. Whips on the run. It's Zapatello straight down the alley. Ajax Zapatello. A pole goal to start for Maryland.
He has really come on the second half of the season. And the Whipsnakes, they're not afraid to run in transition. You're not going to respect my game. I'm going to bury it. A little bit of energy and juice from the Whips early on. With terminology, scheme, like what are we doing? Like, oh yeah, I know this to a T.
I love what you say about terminology too, right? It's like learning a new language for a lot of guys coming to this next level, not for the Whipsnakes. There's Joe Nardella winning another face-off. He was first in the league at 67.5%. He's 2-1 today against Luke Wehrman, who, guess where he played college? Maryland, class of 2024. Playing against a bunch of his fellow Terps today. Here's Matt Rambo. Maryland class of 17, surrounded by white jerseys, lost the ball. That's a shot clock violation waiting to happen with just 1 on the timer. The Whips will set up the right.
Rambo kind of ran himself into trouble a little bit there. You can see them trying to attack early offensive there with Malone.
Whips averaged 13.5 scores per game in the regular season, second in the league behind only the Atlas. They allowed over 12 scores per game, which was second to last ahead of only California, but again, they have found an effective mix down the stretch. There's O'Neal. I mean, that's just pure power and skill.
I mean, you want to talk about dodging with physicality. Drew, on this replay, watch the point of contact. Look at the head of steam that O'Neal builds up. Dunn tries to meet it, and then boom, just knocks Dunn just a hair off of his line. You can see Dunn give a little bit of ground there, and just with a shred of an angle, O'Neal sneaks it past the keeper. But I love the aggressiveness there with O'Neal dodging with physicality. Dunn was playing that defensively, almost like a left tackle, just kind of sitting there waiting to take it, and then boom.
6'3", 235, Brennan O'Neal. Here's Jack Corus, another one of those Maryland guys added to the roster this year. Anderson. And a whistle against the Whips.
Yeah, there are too many men on the field.
Will Hawes in transition, feeds Law. And a wild pass right back to Maryland. Under 5 to play in the first quarter. 4 turnovers against Denver. They lead 2-1.
Watch Heacock as the trailer.
Zed Williams trying to turn the corner on JT Giles Harris. That is about as good as it gets in terms of one-on-one. Williams on the crease, and McElroy comes up with it. He was double teamed by Bernhardt and Hawes. Outlaws on the run. O'Neal from 1 degree angle. And here comes Maryland.
Yeah, Williams aggressively went to the cage, and actually the Whipsnakes were substituting behind the play. So an ill-advised time dodge. That afforded the transition for Outlaws on the other end. They had a little mini 3-on-2 there. I think they could have come up with a better look than that.
Patra's pass from Malone, rookie to rookie. Missed connection.
And the Whips just look a little out of sync. I mean, to no surprise.
Maryland just shooting 1 for 9 with 5 turnovers. Now, O'Neal may have forced that last shot, but I think if you're an Outlaws fan, you'd rather him shoot that than be passive.
No, totally. I just wish he'd stepped up field. There was room to re-attack north of the cage.
Ground ball is still loose. Outlaws maintain possession. Single digits to shoot. A lot of pressure applied by the Whips, and it leads to a takeaway. That's 5 turnovers for both teams here in the first. Again, RB, like you said, what you'd expect, a little sloppy,
yeah,
right?
sloppy. It's sloppy. I mean, it's really going to be a matter of which team is the first one to kind of settle back into a little bit more of organization and rhythm.
There's Heacock, 10 in black. 23 is Ryan Conrad, acquired from the Water Dogs in a trade late in the season. Anderson's shot is saved by McElroy. Backed up by Malone, 32 to shoot. Really strong first quarter for McElroy. 4 saves, just 1 goal allowed. No chance against that one, though, as TJ Malone dunks it. Steal of the draft has his first playoff goal.
Off the previous shot attempt, Manley goes to run it out. And in doing so, that forced a switch. And so now Malone's got Manley, and then they get him into another 2-man game. He gets caught up in the wash on that pick by Heacock. And there's just no support or slide prepared behind the play. And it's just somebody that, when you watch him, he might not like blow you away right away, but then you just like consistently see him make the right play, the smart play. Oh, that's one more layer to your game. Like, there just really aren't any holes in his game.
That was a conscious effort, RB, by Jim Stagnita and the coaching staff early in the season. They wanted him to touch the ball on every possession, and you see the comfort level that he has now here in the playoffs. Not to mention he's a Penn State guy playing with a lot of Terps.
He's fit in quite well, and so is Dalton Young for the Outlaws. That's 2 goals for him here in the first quarter. It's the rookie show, just like we expected.
Absolutely. And of course, Dalton Young, the one guy that if you kind of forget about, he'll make you pay. Quick little change of direction to get to the middle of the field. Good things happen when you can see the full 6x6. But he gets a clean step on Chorus right away, gains immediate separation and doesn't waste any time getting his hands back and letting it fly.
All 5 goals tonight have come from rookies. 2 from Dalton Young, 1 from Brennan O'Neal, 1 from TJ Malone, and 1 from Ajax Zapatello. By the way, all 5 unassisted as well. RB, who's your rookie of the year? If you had to vote right
Malone.
Now. Yeah. I'm with you. I think you can make a case for O'Neal, though.
Yeah, for sure.
With his transcendent performances at times, and then the way he's helped turn this franchise around. But I think Malone is the answer. Got a flag on the field. It'll be against Denver. Puglisi turns down the shot, gets it to Conrad, and the bouncer skips wide, and we'll check the flag.
Number 79, 30-second technical, offsides.
It's on Josh Sawada as you see Tim Sudan look on. Candidate for Coach of the Year after engineering a 1-9 to 5-5 turnaround.
Maryland power play 30%, 7th in the regular season.
Malone with a nice catch, top of the key. Under a minute to play in the first quarter. Malone surveys. Chanenchuk, look out, count it. Mike Chanenchuk from the wing. He has trademarked that shot. So a point, or a goal and an assist for Malone in the first quarter. He has picked up where he left off in the regular season. And the Whipsnakes, again, the hottest team in the league, but it feels kind of weird to say because we haven't seen them in almost a month. August 9th was their last game. They had the bye in the last week of the regular season. Which, in a weird way, almost makes it good that they didn't win their conference, because then they would have had more than a month off. Rambo turns and shoots with the right hand. And McElroy ends up with it. 15 seconds in the first quarter. 6 saves for Owen McElroy. 3 for Brendan Krebs on the other side. Anderson puts the head down. Oh, almost an amazing individual effort. O'Neal's got it in the corner. And that's how the first quarter will come to a close.
Will it, Drew?
Done. That was on target. Oh, he's just one step ahead. 3-3 after the first quarter. How about this, RB? We've got some goals.
These offenses came to play. Dalton Young already with 2 in that first quarter. And on the power play, one of the smoothest strokes in the game. Mike Chanenchuk buries one from the outside. We got a ball game here, folks. I think it speaks volumes about just your overall production. And it's, you know, obviously the Whipsnakes are a proud and the most consistent franchise so far in the PLL, but, you know, the team he joined was not like this loaded juggernaut like at the beginning of the season. I mean, you looked early on and you're like, that lineup is way different than what we're seeing today. And that's a credit to Jim Stagnita, as we get a moving pick violation and a turnover. But also for what Malone has done. I mean, early on you were kind of wondering, like, what's going on with these Whips? Are they rebuilding? And they just reloaded.
In my opinion, too, RB, I think he made the players around him play just a little bit harder, like a Matt Rambo. You've seen an uptick in his game as well.
Well, he's totally alleviated the pressure off of Rambo and Zed Williams, and both of them have responded.
Yeah, Zed's had an amazing season.
Incredible, incredible.
30 different rookies have scored a goal this year in the PLL. And Malone's head of the snake, if you will. Imagine this, you're third round pick and you're tied with Michael Sowers for points in your first year. He's been amazing. Here's Sam Hanley, second-year player out of Penn. That is just nasty. A jump shot from the top of the key for 2, bar down. Whoa.
There are times when he just puts his heads down and is like, I'm taking matters in my own hand. And this is against a pole. It just doesn't really matter. He lowers his shoulder, shrugs off Squires, Most teams, they don't really have a plan if you can cleanly beat your pole. There's beating a pole, and then there's a jump shot for 2. That's the potential, right? When you look back at when he was coming out of Penn, when you thought he'd be the #1 overall pick, is because he's capable of doing stuff like that. The biggest knock on him is just the consistency factor.
Krebs wins the backup for Maryland, but that Hanley goal was filthy. That was R-rated.
Oh.
And worth 2, so Denver in front 5-3.
Certainly goal of the day, right? I mean, not that it's been the biggest bar to clear.
Didn't have many entrants from the Cannons. There's Chanenchuk running down the alley with the left hand, and back and forth we go. That's 2 for the vet.
Chanenchuk got off to a really strong start this season, cooled off a little bit. I think that's because so much was asked of him early on. But he's still capable of this. Second goal of the game. You know what you're going to get on the power play from him. Time and room, feet set. But his ability to go right and left down the alley, that release, that 3/4 almost sidearm release, it's so smooth. It catches goalies off guard because there's not this big windup. He kind of does it in rhythm with his cradle.
Jim Stagnita telling us that Mike Chanenchuk playing the best lacrosse he's seen since he's been with them for about 9 years. That's high praise from Stags.
Yeah, Chanenchuk aging like a fine wine. We talked a lot about Bundy earlier for Denver. I feel like Chanenchuk's kind of been doing what Bundy's doing as a rookie. Here's O'Neal operating from the top of the key this time.
Nice skip.
Skips a pass beautifully, finds his old Duke teammate Josh Sawada. Outlaws calling for a reset, they'll get it. Back to 32 as Anderson is the trigger man.
That was a nasty skip by O'Neal.
Those guys have some chemistry. Sawada transferred over from Michigan for his final college season. Played on the same attack line in the spring. O'Neal again puts the head down. Shot kicked away by Krebs.
Krebs did a better job staying disciplined, holding on that near pipe.
Here comes Zapatello. Is he going to shoot again, this time with the left hand? He scored the first goal of the day for Maryland. Whipsnakes last year were the 6th seed in the playoffs. They lost to the Water Dogs in the first round. Second year in a row they lost to the Water Dogs in the playoffs. The year before was in 2022 the eventual champion Water Dogs. Whipsnakes trying to get back to where they feel they belong, the top of the league, where they won the championship in the first 2 years it existed. Bouncer from Conrad, knocked aside by McElroy. Shot clock to 32.
A missed opportunity there for Whipsnakes. Malone had Terefenko. They weren't able to get in the ball. Love that double team on the pick. Good job squeezing defensively there by Hawes. 18 in white, and then Bernhardt. Love them taking that more aggressive style on the two-man game defensively.
And Terefenko basically cleared it himself. By the way, folks, don't forget in the third quarter, Andy Towers is going to join us, and that is going to be electric, I promise. Just hoping he doesn't injure me when I shake his hand. Hanley for 2. That was with the left hand, and Krebs made that save, his 5th.
But it's great to see Hanley engaged, right? Engaged and aggressive.
Malone, a little separation from Giles Harris. Lefty shot saved by McElroy. 9 saves for Owen McElroy here in the first half.
It's a long shift here for Hanley. He played offense, got trapped on D's, back on O.
Dishes to O'Neal. Short stick matchup for Brennan O'Neill against Jack Corus. Spin it through X, Sawada, Young. 2 goals already, goes to his left hand. And 20 seconds left to shoot for Denver.
Haven't seen much out of Bundy yet this first quarter. Or first half, rather.
Yeah, keep your eye on 7 in white and orange. Same thing with Law, he's been fairly quiet. Lost the ball there. Numbers for the Whips. Zapatello on the dish, get it back to Puglisi. Goal line extended, Rambo. Here's Zed Williams. Jump shot off the pipe. That was Williams against Jesse Bernhardt. 3-6 on 3-6. This game, by the way, a matchup of the Bernhardt brothers. Jesse for Denver, Jake for Maryland. Patra, rookie from Loyola. 4th round pick this year. Rambo couldn't catch the pass. That'll be a shot clock violation against Maryland.
And you could see on some of these possessions, they're pressing out on Malone off ball, trying to make that pass a little bit more difficult, especially when he's at X, when he's kind of the transfer guy. Giles Harris did it there.
You mentioned how Bundy's been pretty quiet. 0 for 1 shooting. And here he is again. He draws 2. Pass to Zawada off the mark. Krebs has to sprint back to his crease. O'Neal surveys from X. Gets the screen, sprints around it. Cross Ferrara, the recipient of the pass, and the exclamation point as he lost his stick.
Cross Ferrara stepping up field and stepping up. Denver needed some production out of the midfield. They take him behind the cage. He takes that extra step up field, loses his stick in the process, and somehow finds a sliver of daylight on that near pipe. He's just an incredible leader, so positive. Has helped them kind of across the board in terms of their offensive efficiency, their 2-point shooting, the number of 2-pointers they've taken per game. He also has been a huge factor in terms of just getting the ball to O'Neal, right? O'Neal touches have jumped up. +6 in terms of when Law's in the lineup, going from 26 to 32. So, like, he knows, like, no, we need to get you the ball, young man.
That's a great note. Did Joe Keegan give you that one?
Indeed.
Zawada from a sharp angle, shot clock violation. By the way, something to monitor here is Luke Weirman is up 6-5 against Joe Nardella. Keep an eye on that battle at the face-off stripe. Nardella, #1 in the league in the regular season at 67.5%. Of course, boosted by that 31 for 31 against Philly when the Water Dogs weren't even trying to win a faceoff. There's Conrad on the run.
Oof, that had some heat on it.
Speaking of Philly, Conrad came over in that trade right before the deadline. Water Dogs knew at that point playoffs probably were not going to happen, so they traded him for a 2nd-round pick in next year's draft. Conrad helping to fill a void left by Tucker Dordovic, out with a jaw injury. And Tucker, if you're watching, we hope you're feeling all right. On the mend. Here's Heacock. Count it!
Colin Heacock, he was their pickup in free agency, another former Terp.
Conrad with the assist there on Heacock's first goal.
You know, it's funny that the Conrad trade, you know, obviously Dordovic was, you know, a catalyst for them picking up Conrad. but it's not an apples-to-apples pickup, right?
For sure.
The guy Conrad really reminds me of, to go back in Whip's lore, is John Haas. You look at what Conrad's skill set is, it's very reminiscent of what Haas brought to this franchise.
Patra, what a move! A flag comes in late, might be a push into the crease, so they're going to count the goal. Adam Patra puts the pedal down and just beats everybody to tie this game at 6.
Strong underneath move here by Patra. Rambo comes out like he's going to set a pick. That clears space for Patra to go underneath, who goes flying through the air. The push on Anderson gets wiped out. And we're going to get a challenge flag to boot. A lot of action on that last play. But you look at the last 2 goals. You look at the last 2 goals by Whipsnakes, and that's like some of the moves around the margins that Stagnita's made, right? Goal by Heacock, picked him up in free agency. Assist to Conrad, who was a late season trade. Yeah. And then the last goal was by Patra, who was a mid to late round draft pick.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think this is going to stand.
Did he make contact with the goalie? Yeah, the ball crosses the goal line before he hits the ground. I thought he might have made contact with the goalie.
And again, he was pushed.
Right. So it looks like it's plastic on this shot attempt. See right there, that stick-on-stick contact?
Yeah. Now, Tim Sudan threw the challenge flag. You get 2 challenges per game. If you win them both, you get a 3rd.
You know, that.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen Matt Palum cover the mic.
Well, especially while he's watching TV, as he's told us, he's good at watching TV.
I like when he flips the hat backwards. So you can
that
get
does
right up close.
You know, and he means business. Yeah, when he flips it around, you gotta really get in there.
This one's taken a while. I'm wondering if it's they're looking at when he hit the ground in the crease. Because he's definitely clear of it when he takes off.
On the initial takeoff, right, yeah.
Contact with the goalie.
That's the only thing that I would think would serve as a reason for Sudan to throw it, because it's not his foot there, and it's not the landing, right? The beginning and the end look pretty clean. Clear your throat, Matty.
After review, the shooter's stick and the goalie's stick made contact inside the cylinder prior to the ball entering the goal. No goal. Denver clears it. Wasn't that easy, buddy?
Guys, that cover the mic there. All right, let's bring in Seth Tierney, the PLL's head of competition, for an explanation here. So, Seth, what was the ultimate deciding factor there?
Yeah, Matty did a great job of doing it step by step. His feet were good. You know, he obviously leaves his feet. Everything was good there. The ball did cross the line, so it's a goal. But when you just go to the very last slide, there's stick-on-stick contact. And again, if the body's hit, then it would be no goal. And so, but the stick is part of the body here, and ultimately we got to pull that goal back.
Now, Seth, can they put the penalty back on? Is that what we're doing here?
That's what we're doing right here. I believe you can just see that we've got man down right here for the Outlaws.
All right. Thank you, Seth Tierney, PLL's head of competition. It's 6-on-5 now, Maryland to the power play. So Patra's goal wiped off. Outlaws back in front by 1, but only momentarily as Zed Williams cashes in on the crease.
And it's a gorgeous little slip pick by Zed Williams. They're going to get all this action by Whipsnakes, and it's eventually going to reverse to TJ Malone and freeze it right here. So Zed Williams, he acts like he's going to come in and set this screen right here, and he's going to actually let Giles Harris clear this, and then in doing so, that creates this little space behind him. So Zed Williams comes in, acts like he's going to set this pick, lets Giles Harris get through it, and then he steps into that void.
That was Art, RB.
Oh.
Picasso of the Piero. He's back, baby. 15 seconds after the goal was disallowed, the Whipsnakes get it back. So we are tied at 6. A little bit different from our first game today when it was all chaos pretty much all day. 8-4 over the Cannons. Carolina will take on Utah on Long Island Saturday. Winner of this one gets New York, who's the 1 seed. Malone sets the screen. Patra, look back to him. Malone's got the short stick matchup against Smith, but Patra still has it. That's an illegal screen.
And the Outlaws have just done a fantastic job of denying Malone the ball after he gets those switches, which negates that advantage.
What do we have here? A timeout called by the Outlaws. That's their use it or lose it. Can't take it with you to the second half, so Tim Sudan will talk things over. Bundy, head of steam, splits 2 defenders and goes down. Puglisi with a wrestling move, and he's going to sit.
Whipsnakes foul number 8, 30-second technical, hold.
This is not a sight you see often, and that's a Whipsnakes player in the penalty box. The least penalized team in the league. They only had 10 penalties and 8 penalty minutes, the fewest. And they actually killed off 100%. They have not given up a power play goal all season long.
Whipsnakes fans right now saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, technically, they were perfect in the regular season.
Yeah.
That's set in stone.
Yeah.
0 for 0 in the playoffs so far. Let's see how they do. Here's Bundy. Gets it back on the wing. He's a threat from outside. Led the league with 27 two-point shots this year. Hit 6 of them. Makes the catch on the skip. Instead skips it himself. O'Neal for 2. That was deflected before it got to Krebs. And the Whipsnakes now 1 for 1 on the playoff penalty kill. 11 for 11 on the season.
Great close out there by Dunn. I actually thought they had Bundy earlier in that possession. Anderson could have just thrown it right back to him. And he had the airspace as Whipsnakes take their use it or lose it timeout. He's another coach out on the field.
And he was the guy Staggs was basically talking directly to for part of that huddle.
And look, they've changed the matchup, so they put Giles Harris on Zed, so now it's Malone.
I saw Bernhardt.
Yeah.
Tried to make a move, got it up to Rambo instead.
Giles Harris just completely blew up that play.
He's so good.
He completely blew up that play.
Williams on the shovel. They still have a chance here. Malone couldn't skip it through. And that might be the end of the second quarter. Maybe. What do we have?
Good if it goes.
It'll be Jesse Bernhardt. Fires. That takes us to halftime. 6-6. Here we go. Sam Hanley with one of the nastiest goals of the year. Crossfire lost his stick and still scored. Goals galore, 6-6. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the PLL Cash App Playoffs on ESPN. We got a tie game between the Outlaws and the Whipsnakes as we start the third quarter. You're wondering, hey, it's Denver and Maryland. Why are we seeing Andy Towers? That's because he's up here in the booth because his Chaos won earlier today against the Boston Cannons. AT, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming up.
Good to see you.
Congrats,
good to be
Coach.
right here.
Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You and True, right? I feel like I'm.
So were you celebrating with some Chaos fans up there, or were you kind of trolling some Cannons fans that were maybe chirping you a little bit?
It's a great second-level question, RP. I was pointing at my beautiful wife, Carlene, and my son, James. And if any of the Cannons fans in the background caught that, it didn't disappoint me.
By the way, did you see this from our statistician, Russ Delin? Cannons went 28 minutes without a goal today, which was their longest this season. It was almost twice as long as their earlier loss.
Listen, Russ is a beast. He comes out, he bangs those stats out, he hands them out in a white card, and it just feels good to see it. But I'm actually not surprised to read that statistic. You know, I was very, very proud of Jamie Hanford putting together an incredible defensive game plan and credit our guys to go out and execute.
So two things of that defensive game plan I want to hone in on. Number one was putting Bowen on Nolting, right?
Yep.
And then the second one was, as Lonnie and at attack, you guys love to double pull. You love to triple pull as Conrad buries one. You did it, which isn't normally kind of the Chaos DNA. You love bumping guys up.
Yeah.
Talk us through those two decisions, the Bowen and then the not double polling.
Yeah, you know, you got to credit Asher Nolting and certainly Marcus Holman and their offensive coordinator, you know, for making those two guys two of the most dangerous players playing together in the league. Our feeling was, when we played him in Utah, Asher Nolting had 4 assists. He was 2 and 4. He made everybody better when he was a passer. And obviously Marcus Holman is one of the best shooters in the history of the sport. He's a high energy, hyper competitive. He's obviously the leader of their team. And so our feeling was, if we were able to prevent Asher Nolting from impacting the game as a feeder in 6-on-6, and we were able to make it hard for Holman to get time and space shots, that we would have an opportunity to hold them down offensively, and then all that it really left for us to do was to protect the 2-point line, where they've been the best team in the league, and that's what we were able to do.
Yeah, so naturally I overlooked the third big decision, and that was bumping Ray down from LSM to close, who's maybe the most overlooked player. So natural that I would overlook that decision. And his job on Holman was nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, well, listen, our thinking was, if Nolting is their key in 6-on-6, let's put a big body on there that we can depend on to being disciplined on ball, not chase his stick. And if Asher scores, you know, goals off the dodge, we can live with that. What we can't live with is Asher making people goal scorers as a passer. That kills you. And that was part of the equation. The other part of the equation was, if we were able to do the job with Asher there, then we would put our best off-ball guy on their best off-ball player. And Troy Ray, again, answered the bell. And there's no question that if you look at the game, he obviously won that matchup. Bo won his matchup. And our defense as a whole did a great job of protecting the 2-point line. And of course, when they broke through and they got opportunities, they had to deal with Blaze Reardon. Blaze played an incredible game.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, you know, all the strategy talk, but ultimately Blaze Reardon makes 14, 15 saves. I mean, does he take his level up in the playoffs, even from what he does in the regular season?
Listen, anybody that is in our locker room feels that he's the best player in the world. And some other players have an argument for that title as well. All I can tell you is you're not going to find a guy that is more humble, you know, deflects the credit to his teammates, absorbs the blame. He doesn't win or lose. And if we go out and we execute with passion and we allow him to see shots that he should see and minimize high-quality shots, we're extremely confident that we're not going to lose because of lack of defensive success. And so that obviously puts the pressure on offense to get it done. And part of offensive success is scoring goals, but the other part of it is managing the game and winning the game. And then sometimes, you win 15-13, and sometimes you win 8-4. And it doesn't matter to us how we win, as long as we win. And I'm extremely proud of our guys.
We got a tie game again as Dalton Young has himself a hat trick. Another rookie for Denver making his presence felt. And it's 7-7, 18. We have you up here on the booth, so we might as well get you to do some analysis here. Walk us through this goal here for Dalton Young.
Yeah, again, it's his willingness to attack the front of the goal. You look at the best players in the history of the position, whether it's Ryan Boyle, whether it's Jordan Wolf, whether it's Rob Pennell, whether it's any super high quality productive ex-attackman, they're going to be willing to get their heads knocked off to get an extra angle, and when they do that, they're going to score goals. And the usual outcome is their heads don't get knocked off that often. So credit him for creating the best possible angle and being able to bury that shot.
Weirman has continued to go toe-to-toe here with Nardella. A few weeks after Nardella really owned that matchup. As you assess those two guys, the face-off strike, what jumps out? I don't know how much of this game you've seen so far, but anything that Weirman, from adjustment standpoint, has made from a few weeks ago to today?
Yeah, I think it always comes down to a contest of who's at the front end of the whistle. Right? That's always going to be the case. These guys, from a technique standpoint, if they're at the front end of the whistle, they're going to win it every single time.
Heads up.
I frankly voted for Joe Nardella for the face-off man of the year. I think his numbers, justify that. And so for Weirman to come out and win a percentage that's higher than Joe is used to losing is obviously a big win for Sudo and his staff.
9-7 right now, Nardella with the advantage. The game is tied. Cross Ferrara, by the way, got the assist on Dalton Young's goal. That's first assist of the day for the Outlaws. You mentioned Sudo. How about the job he's done this year, bringing in all these rookies, going from 1-9 to 5-5, and with a chance here in the dance.
You know what? You're not going to find a greater competitive person than Tim Sudan. I have to say, in my playing career, which was a long time ago, there was no greater competitor than I played against than Timmy Sudan. I played against a lot of Hall of Famers, and so I'm not surprised to see him and Jocko and their staff draft guys that would enable them to compete right away, and they turned it around really, really quickly, and it's not a surprise to any of us that are friends with Sudo, fans of Sudo, until we have to play against Sudo.
AT, I gotta ask, have you ever seen him wear the high socks down here? It's a new look for Tim Sudan.
Yeah, you know what? I know he's from upstate, and typically that's a West Jenny thing, but he's from Rochester, so not sure where that came from.
Brennan O'Neill puts Denver back in front. AT, thanks for coming up and joining us, man.
It's been a pleasure to see you guys. Thanks for everything that you guys do, and I will look forward to hopefully seeing you guys in Long Island.
We're going to thank you off, but we're going to get your opinion on this filthy Brennan O'Neill face dodge into a twister near side.
Describe that in one word.
The first.
Look at this.
In one word, whose father is that?
Andy Towers, good luck Saturday.
Thank you, gentlemen.
See you then, brother.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. You guys are the best.
Absolutely nasty. And it's those types of goals, those flashes of brilliance, where he scores goals that just kind of make your jaw drop and just ask how.
The one-handed, right-handed one.
That one, yeah.
Midway through this third quarter, Denver 8, Maryland 7. Outlaws got the two-pointer from Sam Hanley. Both teams have hit the back of the net the same number of times, but Outlaws just out by a nose. It's the 5-4 matchup winner to take on the 1 seed Atlas on Long Island Saturday.
Just a careless turnover.
That's not Maryland Whipsnakes.
You play fast here. Play fast here, O'Neill.
After the 12th turnover by the Whipsnakes, O'Neill tried to find Tarafinko after the screen, but he hit the deck. O'Neill's got a matchup he likes here. Takes advantage, And that was almost an ephus pitch to Krebs. I think it must have been deflected.
Yeah, it was like a knuckle puck. It definitely got deflected. You know, and what's funny about the O'Neal, going back to the draft, is like, I feel like even though Malone was going to probably be Rookie of the Year, like, Denver would not trade O'Neal for Malone. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like they brought him in because they needed a face of the franchise. They needed a singular individual talent to change the entire tenor of their offense.
Williams draws 2 or 3 defenders. Heacock finds Malone, saved by McElroy, who's had a great game. Patra almost batted it in. Scrum for it, still loose. Rambo's got it now. Twists out of trouble behind the back to Malone. That's a brouhaha right around the crease. And they're going to have to sort out the shot clock here. Had it right the first time, 22 to shoot. And it said Williams to trigger. Watched by JT Giles Harris. Opponents are shooting sub 20% against him this year. There's Heacock on the run against Hawes. Good stop by McElroy. 13 saves. 65%. Hawes the other way. Krebs makes a stop. And now Conrad. Clears it to Malone and gets it back. Loads it up for 2.
I like that look by Conrad. The early 2 in transition. You know, pick a corner. If you hit it, you cash in. If you miss it, you still got plenty of juice and you sub behind the play.
Manley on the pickup.
Just a force by Rambo there.
Rambo still scoreless here. Only 1 shot for Matt Rambo, who has been a clutch performer in his playoff career. Zawada from X, now Hanley. Keep your eye on 7 in white and orange, Graham Bundy. One of the best long-range shooters in the league. There he is. A low to high top shelf missile.
You're just going to get a gorgeous little 2-man game between Bundy and Hanley. Eventually, Hanley is going to take this around, and Bundy's going to shallow cut behind the play. You're going to get this double team by Zappatello, and Hanley, with his hands free, is just going to throw back. So nice mirror there by Bundy. Kind of an unnecessary double team, if you ask me. And then the second slide is late getting out to Bundy. And if there's one guy you can't be late to, it's that guy.
The fastest gun in the West. One of the most accurate shooters in the league as a rookie. And we talked a bunch about his golf game and how that kind of influences his shooting stroke. You saw it there. I mean, that looked like a drive. Almost hit the turf with his release, and then it ended up in the top right corner.
We were going with King Kong Bundy earlier in the season. Something doesn't add up if there's King Kong Bundy after a wrestler plus a lot of golf. Like those two things.
Could have it all.
Incongruous, if you will. Malone on the pickup, McElroy with the save. That's 15 saves for Owen McElroy, and then a takedown. There's your wrestling analogy. It'll be on chorus. There's a broken stick. There are multiple players on the field. 4 flags. Every on-field official has thrown a flag. And Manley takes the wild shot. All right, let's sort this out. Go ahead, place your bets. Over, under.
Hold, what else we got?
2.5 minutes on this conversation.
I think 2 fouls.
2 fouls on the play. Both against the Whipsnakes. 15, 30-second technical hold. 7, 30-second technical push.
Now, remember, this was the least penalized team the whole regular season. Just 10 penalties, and you're going to get 2 on this possession. This was after the initial hold. Corus' stick is broken, and then here comes the Malone push.
So yeah, it's a good point, RB. They averaged 1 penalty per game in the regular season. They just picked up 2 on 1 play in a span of like 3 seconds. They put the Outlaws on a 6-on-4. Golden opportunity to take a 3-goal lead. This would be a great time to get Bundy outside the arc as well.
They've got him.
It's O'Neal instead, can't handle the pass.
Bundy does such a great job of getting super high so he can do a crow hop into the 2-pointer.
O'Neal takes the two. That's some serious steam on it.
Not enough, not enough. It's just not good enough execution. You're up 2 men, and that's what you get out of it.
In that case, RB, a 6-on-4, what are you looking for offensively?
Normally, what you're so concerned about the perimeter with those shooters, it opens up the inside. I feel like Denver just got a little too cute with what they were trying to do from a schematic standpoint. It took them too long to get into their action.
Hanley catches the iron and wins the backup himself, 32 seconds to shoot.
Like, you're up 2 men. You don't have to do that much.
You want to see cutting to
right
the middle?
Away, yeah.
Under a minute to play in the third. Denver by 2. We've already had 1 lower-seeded team win today. Chaos over the Cannons. Could we see it twice? So much parity in this league. O'Neal might have been thinking shot before he made the catch. Saves it before it goes out of bounds. Single digits on the shot clock. O'Neal sweeps. Skip pass intercepted. Shot clock is off for the Whips.
They got Bernhardt and Puglisi.
Here's Bernhardt. Here's Puglisi. He's the threat. Malone waits. They make the subs. Here's Conrad. Puglisi. They swing it. Ends up in the crease and ends up in the goal. Oh my goodness, Giles Harris can't believe it. McElroy's been airtight all night, and they just give up a cheapie.
Good ball movement, but eventually the pass is thrown into the crease right here. It's a missed pass and a deflection off of Giles Harris. Williams will take it. Just tough bounce there. And if it was well, yeah, it's going to be a 2-pointer if no Whipsnake touched the ball.
Yeah. So if it only deflected off of Giles Harris, it'll be worth 2. If Williams hit it,
so the 2-pointer,
it's a 1. Yeah, they're counting it as a goal by Jake Bernhardt.
Well, he was the one who fed it inside to Malone.
All right, so Tim Sudan throws the challenge flag.
Okay. Yep. Previous play was ruled a 2-pointer on the field. The Outlaws have challenged that ruling.
That might be the look there. If we can slow that one down. Now we're just looking to see if Williams touched it now.
Yeah, it clearly misses Malone, right? So that's out. So now it's really, does it hit off Giles Harris or Zed Williams? I mean, Williams is behind the play entirely.
Yeah. Let's get the call.
After review, the call on the field stands. Good 2-pointer.
That's a tough pill to swallow if you're an Outlaws fan.
They give up the 2 and they lose the timeout.
McElroy's standing on his head. You've only given up 1 goal this whole quarter, and then you finish the frame like that.
Outlaws now out of challenges. Just 1 timeout remaining. McElroy's saved pretty much everything you've seen.
And like that right there, Drew, that also is a compounding mistake. Like to lose a timeout in a tight playoff game. Like you've got to know that if you're making that challenge that you're going to be right.
It's our 6th tie. They just added a second, 0.1. So 6.1 left in the third. Another battle at the stripe. Weirman versus Nardella has been a great matchup all day. We go to the 4th quarter in a tie game. 9-9. Win and move on to the semis. Lose, go back to reality. Your season's over. 12 minutes on the clock. If you change the channel, I don't know what to tell you. He's fine against anybody. I mean, he has brought his A game to this league after he was a 3rd-round pick, a lot later than we expected. And he's the favorite for Rookie of the Year.
Great hustle play there by Nardella.
He's starting to build a gap against Weirman now, 12-7. Maryland's edge at the stripe. Owen McElroy between the pipes for the Outlaws has made 15 saves tonight. He had 6 in the 3rd quarter. Here comes Malone against Giles Harris. Back to X and Rambo. Still being bageled. No points for the former league MVP. Chanenchuk maintains possession. Now it's Zed Williams. Back up top and Malone. Got to keep it on this side of the line and pushed over by Terefenko. That's a turnover against the Whips.
Heady play there by Terefenko to really finish the play. Started by Giles Harris, who came down on that hard check to get the ball going that way. And to your point about Rambo, I think the more impressive thing at this point is holding Williams just to 1 goal.
Yeah, he was absolute money all season. Multiple goals in 9 of 10 games for Zed. Rambo's only taken 1 shot. Here comes Hanley. Beats his man clean. Takes the left-handed shot down the alley. And backed up by O'Neal. Hanley, aside from that 2, haven't heard a whole lot from him. He does have 1 assist. Here comes O'Neal. Charging down goal line extended. Matched up with Matt Dunn. O'Neal still has it. Goes to the question mark. And Ferrara closest to it.
He's just got to get a little bit higher there, so when he rolls back, he gives himself a better angle.
Ferrara. Zawada. Bundy. Can't pick it up. That's all she wrote for this possession. Little casual.
Little casual, and both teams offensively just a little bit sloppy.
Hey, shout out to everybody watching tonight on Labor Day. Thanks for spending some of it with us. Starting the road to the Cash App Championship Trophy. Who's going to hoist it in Philly in a couple of weeks?
Thought Malone had a step down right when he caught it.
This is Conrad. Lefty shot. That'll be backed up by the Outlaws as Bernhardt wins the race.
Great anticipation there by Bernhardt. Understanding angles. As that shot was being released, he noticed that he had a beeline, a better angle than Malone on that backup to win the run out.
Outlaws looking to continue their comeback from a 1-9 season a year ago. Getting into the playoffs is an achievement in and of itself, but this is a team that thinks they can compete for a crown.
Remember, just a few weeks ago, they got really kind of outmanned, outworked, outplayed by the Whips, 16-9.
Krebs with a great stop going down. 9 saves for Brendan Krebs. Two-pointer, saved by McElroy, denying Squires from straight away. Now it's Rambo, draws two. Malone after the swim on Manley.
Still plenty of juice left in the shot clock. They'll substitute, get offensive personnel in the field.
Two-pointer, Chanenchuk. That game you're talking about a couple of weeks ago in Denver, the Outlaws were playing at home. Got worked 16-9. You know, the Outlaws have alternated wins and losses for the past 2 months, 8 straight. Some of those games have been lopsided. Malone, what a feed. Rambo can't finish. Off the post, Outlaws win the race. And then Bernhardt takes out the VIP pole.
Yeah.
Leaving it all out on the field in the playoffs here. Midway through the fourth quarter, still tied at 9. No goals yet in this final frame. Bundy creates a runway for himself. Got Patra trapped on defense. Bundy trying to get the hands free. Rolls back to his right and draws a slide. It's O'Neal. Back to Bundy.
Oh!
Lost it. Matt Dunn put it on the carpet. 5 to shoot. Ferrara with a wild look. And the Whipsnakes will take over. That is Maryland Whipsnakes lacrosse.
Yeah, beautiful help and then rotation behind the play, most notably Dunn on that closeout. And then the check, which led to the yard sale. You can make your insert joke of yard sale plus Labor Day.
I haven't heard that one.
You beat me to the punch there, RB.
I'd love to see them invert Conrad. We haven't really seen that today. They had a lot of success against this with this look a few weeks ago.
They tried it, and Conrad got the switch on Bernhardt, now gets it back. There is a clump of humanity right on top of the crease, and that's a foul against the Whipsnakes. So now Zawada will set up shop. This game is really slowed down here in the fourth quarter. Dunn on O'Neal. That Dunn's been everywhere lately. Zapatello kicks it out to himself. Zawada with a good ride. And Zapatello ends up with it.
Who's got more juice left in the tank? It looks like some of these guys are dragging a bit offensively. That last Denver possession, it just looked like some guys were pretty exhausted.
Stagnita calls timeout. Both teams have 1 remaining. Combined 0 for 9 shooting in this fourth quarter. We're still stuck on a 9-9 tie.
Made it a ball game. We've stayed there.
It's cruel for Owen McElroy. 16 saves, 8 goals allowed. 16 saves, by the way, 1 off his career high. And for that to be what he lets in, that's tough. Here's Patra, gives the Whips the lead. Well, that's the second time tonight he has just put his head down and sprinted to the goal. That's our first goal of the fourth, and it gives Maryland a 1-goal edge.
Yeah, Jesse Bernhardt was addressing the team in that timeout, specifically on the defensive end, saying we got to go back to basic fundamental defense. You got to spread out and you got to slide and help support.
It's like he caught him off guard almost.
I don't know if he was hesitant to leave Malone there, but Grill certainly did not think that was his slide responsibility.
So how do the Outlaws respond? Krebs has it.
It's just a force. You've got to run behind the cage there if you're Anderson and then transfer it yourself to the opposite side.
Too many empty possessions for the Denver Outlaws. Noticeable frustration here on the sidelines. They look tired.
They look tired, Dana.
They
Don't
tired,
they look
and
tired?
It's not hot down here. It's actually pretty cold.
The Outlaws
Chilly.
offensively look tired. They're going to go again to that single invert action that I was asking about.
Yep, Conrad on Haas. Shot clock winds down to 10, and there's another turnover by Maryland, their 18th tonight. Outlaws have missed their last 8 shots.
O'Neal wanted Terefenko to keep going because he had Grill behind the play. Terefenko wants to get Chanenchuk in the 2-man game. They got the switch they wanted.
Big collision. Terefenko and Dunn. O'Neal takes the shot, and Krebs snuffs it out. Under 3 to play.
Krebs has gotten better as this game's gone along, hasn't he?
Yep, up to 10 saves now. Krebs has been one of the quiet stories of the season, I think, sort of unseating Kyle Bernlohr, who's been one of the best goalies in the league since it started. Feet in front, whips by 2, and it's rookie to rookie. Patra to Malone. This is the largest lead tonight for Maryland. Outlaws win a huge faceoff and take their final timeout.
Now remember, because they challenged that 2-pointer, they don't have another one in their holster.
Denver tonight 1 for 4 from outside the arc. During the season, they had 12 2-point goals, second only to Boston. Keep your eye on Bundy. 6 2-bombs this year as a rookie. 1 off the league lead. He takes the 2, and Krebs has the answer. That would have tied it. And you got to think Maryland will slow it down here. The Whips have a timeout. Across the 2-minute plateau.
And Jake Bernhardt read that last play beautifully. Just staying glued to Bundy the whole time. Not allowing him any airspace as he started to kind of loop around that 2-point arc. Critical possession if Whips can extend this beyond 1 possession.
That would essentially ice it. Single digits to shoot. Taking their time.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, not even going to look at the goal.
I'm a little surprised.
Still a 1-possession game.
Yeah, I mean, getting that critical 3-goal margin, it just affords you a certain level of protection.
The Outlaws out of their timeouts, as you mentioned, RB, they lost the challenge. Team Sudan would love to have one here. Can they get the one? They do. It's Bernhardt. Jesse Bernhardt cuts it to 11-10. And now Tim Sudan's team needs to win a faceoff.
And even with the 32, even if they lose it, they'll still have a little bit of juice left. But they're so concerned with everybody around the 2-point arc that Bernhardt just sneaks inside. Hanley, a ton of trust, and like, okay, well, let's just take the one if they're giving it to us, and then let's see what Weirman can come up with.
Look at this. Luke Weirman has done the unthinkable. He's hung with Joe Nardella.
They got Squires all the way down on his wing towards the defensive half.
And Pacino on the other side. Nardella wins it, and Staggs calls the timeout right away. I think he was yelling it right after the whistle. Yeah, Krebs is out near the 2-point arc. Got to be really careful here. Need to clear it with about 21 seconds left on the game clock. And that won't be an issue as Dunn runs it across. 10-second difference between the shot and the game clocks. Here's Patra. trying to wind as much time as possible.
Oh, they got the turnover.
Look out.
Now you got to win the whistle here. Plenty of time, 16 seconds.
Outlaws ball. A 1 ties it, a 2 takes the lead. Bernhardt loads it. Bouncer, not close. Whips win the backup.
Yeah, Eric Law crashed the crease.
Hoping for a rebound.
Yeah, if he had stayed back there, they would have had it with about 8 seconds left.
So Krebs was closest to it. He flings it to the sky, and the Whipsnakes are moving on. For RB, DB, our entire crew led by Todd Jones and Brett Lancaster, Russ and Carl, everyone helping us up here in the booth. I'm Drew Carter. Thanks for watching the PLL on ESPN. Happy Labor Day. Soak up the last few days of summer. Good night from Boston.